Okay, so today I'm going to help you transform this melody into a chord melody, the one that I played in the preview. So we're going to do this step by step so you can see exactly how to do it, and you can take melodies and create your own chord melodies out of them. If you want to print these tabs out, you can do so by becoming a Patreon. The links are right here, and I'll have this lesson available on my website if you want to just purchase this lesson as well. So step one, when you are turning a melody into chord melody on your ukulele, you need to learn the melody. So I have the first 4 measures, just the melody. Let's go ahead and play through that. 8th fret, and it's going to go 8, 5 onto the A string, back to 8, 5, 5 on the C string. Then we're going to repeat 5, down to 2, and then we're going to get 0, back up to 5 on the C string, 5, 5 on the E, back to 5, 8, 5 on the E, 7 on the C. If you were just playing with a friend, this would work fine. But when you're doing chord melody, you want the melody to be on the E and the A strings. Primarily, there are some times you're going to see that you can't get away from it. But primarily, especially if you have a high G, you're going to want to get as much of the melody on these 2 strings as you can. So what we're going to do is move these notes up a string. So for example, the very first note, 8, this is a C note. Now, how do you know that? A couple ways. One is you could have a fretboard printed out so you can just look and see. If you do that a couple times, you'll start to memorize the fretboard. That's how I memorize the fretboard. One of the ways I memorize the fretboard. If you're looking for techniques to memorize the fretboard, I'll link a lesson right here. Now, when I know that that's a C note, the next step I want to do is find a C note on the A string. Now, this is on a string that is easier to play. But if it's way up here, you're going to need bar chords. By moving this C to this C, now we're able to later on use our cowboy chords or our open shapes instead of bar chords. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lay the new melody over the top melody so you can see which of the notes are the same. Again, if you want to do that with your own melody, you're going to need to know the fretboard. An easy way to do that is to have a printout of a fretboard, or you can start the process of memorizing it. All right, so we can see that 8 on the E string is the same as 3. 5, nothing we're going to do about it. Back to 3, we've already seen it. And what's nice about this is you're going to see lots of repetition because the scale means you're only using so many notes. So this process is just going to get faster and faster the deeper in the song you go. 5th fret of the E, which we could use, but we also have the open A string, which is much easier. 5th fret of our C string is the 1st fret. Now that next note, 2, we don't really have an option to go and move it up a string because the next D is here. So this is the lowest D. This is the only D on the fretboard that is this D, so we have to use it. Same thing with the C after it. There is no other C at this pitch on the fretboard, so we keep it open. And then we see that, again, what we've already seen, 5 is 1, this 5 is 0, 5 is 1, then we got 8, which is 3, and 5 and 0, and then the 7th fret of the C string is the same as the 3rd fret of the E string. So go ahead and take a second to look at that and see, because you can use this as well to learn the fretboard, to see the melody on top, the new one on top of the old one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the old melody and we're going to learn to play the new one, but we're also going to harmonize the very first note or the very first melody in each measure. So that first one is a C note here on the 3rd fret, and you see the F above it means this is, if you were playing, you would strum an F and sing these notes. So we need to get this C note on top of an F chord. To do that, we make an F chord and just put our pinky down on the 3rd fret. Now, when you want someone to hear the melody, you strum with your thumb. Okay? If you don't, you use your index finger. But the thumb separates the notes a little more and pulls the notes forward, and your ear tends to hear the highest pitched note. So when arranging chord melody for your ukulele, like we're doing in this ukulele tutorial, keep in mind your ear will hear the highest note, thumb strum pulls the melody forward. So we're going to strum that first measure all the way through with our thumb. 1, 2. Then we're going to play the rest of the measure. 3, 5, 3, 0, 1. Now this F is over B flat. It's on the E string. So you make a B flat. You don't want to strum all the way through because your ear wants to hear that note. So you're going to thumb strum just the first 3 strings. And now your ear hears the F note instead of the B flat. So up to that B flat, you have 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Just that 2 by itself. The next measure, the melody is C. It's the lowest note that I have on a standard tuned high G ukulele. So I'm not going to harmonize it. I'm going to play it by itself. Play through that measure. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Okay, so the next chord is a C chord, but the melody is this G note on the 3rd fret. If I make a C chord, what do? It's not in there. I simply fret that 3rd fret with another finger and then strum through the first 3 strings. So I've harmonized the first beat. So let's go ahead and play through these first 4 measures. We're going to get 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, the next step in our tutorial on turning our melody into chord melody is to fill that space out a little bit. Now you can do just harmonization on the first beat. That sounds completely fine, all right? That works as a chord melody arrangement. But we are going to try to harmonize some more strong measures. Usually, depending on the rhythm, but usually I will think about the 1, 2, 3, and 4. Not always, and not necessarily all those beats all the time, but those are the beats that I'm looking at. So 5, 3, how do we get this 5th fret if we're doing an F chord here? Well, do you remember how this F note on the 1st fret was the same as the 5th fret of the C string? Here, instead of doing a big thumb strum and a full chord, all I'm going to do is grab just that F note and the 5th fret of the A string. You don't have to use the entire chord when you're doing harmony. Just the bass note, so just the F note, also sounds really nice. So we're going to go 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to just slide my pinky down to 3, lift up my F chord, and get my ring finger on the 5th fret of the C string. So I have 1, 2, and 3, back to 3. Then on the 4th beat, the melody's the 0, the open A. So I'll just thumb strum through an F chord. Then on the and, I play the 1. So now our first measure is 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Back to our B flat. Nothing's going to change there, right? Because there's only 2 melody notes and I can only harmonize 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I get to the 3rd measure and I couldn't harmonize that first note, but I can do the 3rd and 4th beats as the harmonies F, and I have an open A and a 3rd fret. So I'm simply going to go 1, 2, and 3rd beat, strum all the way through the F, play just this note on the offbeat, pinky down, strum all the way through, then lift up the pinky, play the open A, and land back on the C. So now, by harmonizing more, we've taken it and we get something like this. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So to review so far, step 1 is getting the melody on the fretboard where you can harmonize it. Step 2 is harmonizing the first beat if you can, and that means adding the chord. Step 3 is adding more harmony as to desired. It's kind of like salt. It's ultimately up to you. And the fourth and final step is to fill in the rhythm. We can see on the first measure on the and after 1, there's no melody. The second measure, we only have melody on the first and third beats. On the third measure, again on the and after 2, there is no melody. And then the last measure for beats 3, 4, or 2, 3, and 4, there's no melody. So what you do there is you just add the chord that you're harmonizing with. So over the first measure, we're going to keep it the same. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Once we get to the B flat, over the second beat where we don't have any melody, we're going to strum a B flat, but just with our index finger, the way you'd strum and sing. 1, 2, then the second fret, 3, then index finger, 4. Because these strums don't really push melody forward. They kind of blend everything together much easier. So it's a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 way to keep things moving. Over the third measure, you'll see 1, 2. We added an F there with no melody, so we strum through with our index finger. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. I added a pull off just because you can simply 3-0 or 3-0. Pull offs sound nice in this style. That's C on the first beat, and over measures or beats 2, 3, and 4, just 2, 3, 4. So now we play through it slowly. We have something that sounds like this. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're going to repeat this. This song is 16 measures, so we're going to repeat this process. When I bring up the next measures, 5, 6, 7, and 8, good news is 5 and 6 are the same as 1 and 2. So when you're doing this, you're going to see repetition, and that's a great place for you just to take what you've done previously and plug it in. So we only have to repeat this process for measures 7 and 8. So as it is, the melody right now is 0, 5, 5. So as it is right now, the melody would be 0, 5, 5, 7, 5, 4, 5. The only note in there that we haven't seen so far is the 4th fret of the C string. This is an E note. It also is the same note as the open E string. So with that information over measure 7 and 8, we lay our new melody over and we see it is 0, 1, 0, 3, 1, 0, 1. Take a second to look at those notes and make sure you're kind of starting to internalize them. And if we look at that with just the high melody, it's going to be 0, 1, 0, 3, 1, 0, 1. All right, let's start to harmonize this. We're just doing measure 7 and 8. We start off with the C, so we can't really do the 1 there. So measure 8, if the melody is 1 and the harmony is F, we simply make an F chord and thumb strum the first 3 strings. So just measure 7 and 8, if we add that 1 strum, we get 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so then let's look at how to add a little extra harmony to measure 7. We start off with that O, so nothing going. Then we have the rest on the second beat, 1, and then we see actually on the third beat that the melody or the harmony changes to C. That's why the C is above that in the middle of the measure. So if the melody is A and the harmony is C, if we strum a C chord, we can see that there is no A in it. There's a couple ways you can do this. We're going to go back to that bass technique and we're going to play the open C and we're going to just use the open high A against it. And then we're going to run 3, 1, 0, 1. Now we could add more harmony there if we wanted to, but I think that when the scale goes in order, or the melody just goes just through the scale, I think it's a nice element to go ahead and not harmonize it and let the scale shine. But again, these techniques, they're up to you, and you can use them and arrange them how you seem fit. So we're going to add just boom, that note there. So that means the end of this now looks like 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's add some extra strums. Over the second beat, we're going to 1, 2, add it down on the F, and then measure 8, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to add more downs on the F. So now we've turned this melody into measures 5, 6, 7, and 8. And for our chord melody ukulele tutorial, they sound like this. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the cool news is the very end of the song measures 13, 14, 15, 16. 13 and 14 are the same as 1 and 2, and then 7 and 8 repeat as well. So the only thing we need to do is repeat this process for measures 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then we can go ahead and play through the song. Our melody. Okay, so let's find the notes that we don't know. Well, we haven't seen a 6 on the C string, and we haven't seen a 6 on the E string. 6 on the C string is an F sharp. That's the same note as 2 here, okay? 6 here is a B flat. That's the same note as 1st fret of the A string. So if we overlay our melodies on top of each other, we can see the only new thing that we have going is playing the 2nd fret of the E string and the 1st fret of the A string. So let's go ahead and have a peek at that. Again, take a second to try to internalize it. And if it helps you playing over this section, feel free to play over it. But we're going to look at just the melody on top now, and that looks like this. Again, feel free to pause here and play over the double melody if it helps. Our new melody looks like this. 3, 2, 3, 0, 1, 3, 0, 3, 5, 5, 3, 0, 1, 0, 3. And timing, it's 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's go ahead and harmonize the 1. Over that C7, we are going to just play just that C note. You could strum all the way through if you wanted to. Totally fine. All right, but I'm going to pluck just the 2. And I like having both those options available to me because that way, as I play through it, I can interchange them as I see fit. Over the F, the next measure, open A, simply strum through an F. That one's easy. Maybe the hardest part in this process. We have an F note here and it's over a B flat. So do we get a pinky way up here? How do we do that? This is where knowing multiple chord shapes comes in handy. Okay, in this next section, heads up, we are going to be moving one chord up the fretboard. If it feels confusing that I explain that, I do have another tutorial for that right here, but I don't want to make this a moving chord tutorial, okay? So if you don't understand how I moved it, don't feel discouraged. If you up to this point, you get the principal ideas of this tutorial, which is to teach you how to turn a melody into a chord melody. Learning how to move chords on the fretboard will help you in this style, but you don't have to understand that concept to understand what I'm trying to teach you in this tutorial. So if you feel a little lost with that moving chord, do not worry, okay? It's not vital to the understanding of this lesson. It is vital to you progressing down the road, but it's not necessary right now to understand why, okay? So in learning how to move the chords, recognize the shapes, but no, in chord melody, you don't need to use the entire chord. In fact, these chords are triads, meaning they only have 3 notes. So we actually did move the entire chord here. This G note here, I'm sorry, it would be a B flat note here, we have right here. So this is actually the full chord. The 4th measure, quite a bit easier. It's a G note over a C chord. We've already seen that. So these 4 measures now would be 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's add some more harmony. Over the first measure here on the 3rd beat, we're going to add 0, 0, 3. Again, you could pinch there, just like in the first beat. Also, do you see on the and of this measure how there's an open G and a 3rd fret? This is why high G is cool for this style, because I can actually just play the open G string there instead of the 3rd fret. So I will be playing open G. If you have a low G, you need to play the 3rd fret. If you prefer playing the 3rd fret, feel free to play the 3rd fret. F, 3rd beat, pinky down. Nothing we haven't seen there. Now over that B flat, I'm going to keep it easy because there is ways to make it more complicated, but this isn't trying to make the hardest chord melody ever. It's trying to teach you how to transform a melody into a chord melody on your ukulele. So the only harmony we've added is the 3rd beat of the 1st measure and the 3rd beat of the 2nd measure. So now it's time to fill up our empty space with rhythm. Actually, I decided to add one more harmonization over the 4th beat of the 1st measure. I'm going to strum through the entire C7. So that 1st measure is 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and you now, knowing what you know though, you have multiple ways to play this. Beats 2 and 4, 2nd measure, just strum those F chords with your index finger. That 4th beat, I'm just keeping the pinky down. 3, 4. Over measure 3, nothing. And then over that last measure, pluck, that's 2 middle strings. And then make sure your pinky's down, strum 2, 3, 4. So these measures sound like this. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are all the pieces. Let's play through the whole thing. So at the end of this, you also have a cool version of this song. 2. Let's play through it slow once, and I'll count it, and then we're going to speed it up and play through it, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. All right, get that down first, and let's try to play through it a little quicker without counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. That is how you take a melody and turn it into a chord melody on your ukulele. New ukulele every Wednesday and Saturday. Think about becoming a Patreon. It is cheaper than a cheap cheeseburger. And if you enjoyed chord melody, why don't you check out my chord melody playlist? A whole bunch of stuff over there that I'm sure you're going to enjoy. Until next time, have a lovely day, friends. Life is good.